And what is my family that you have brought me this far? And so the consciousness of unworthiness passes now to adoring contemplation of God's astounding mercy. Especially this new element in Nathan's prophecy, the idea what God was going to do in this dim, far-off future. And what is my family that you have brought me this far? And as if this were not enough in your sight, O sovereign Lord, you have spoken about the future of the house of your servant. I love that little phrase. And as if that were not enough. Wow. See, I want that element of thanksgiving in my life. Praise for what He's done, but what He's done in my past. But this sense of awe and wonder of what He will continue to do in me and for me and around me and through me for generations. Thanksgiving for the greatness of His... I mean, here's David going, and if that weren't enough, you've just spoken to me about generations to come? Wow. If that weren't enough, there's this thanksgiving for the greatness of this gift. Expect it. Act on it. See, here's the truth. It sounds Zig Ziglarish, and it's not. But we get what we look for. We really do. It's like when I come with this expectancy and this thankful heart, like we sang that song, Give Thanks with a Thankful Heart. It's like when I come that way and I'm expecting, God, I'm looking for you. I'm looking for you. As you pitched your tent with me, I'm looking, I'm expectant. And when I approach life that way, I begin to see everything differently. And I begin to see generationally. Does that make sense? I got to go to work. Stupid alarm. Hit the snooze. Give me 5 more minutes. You know, that's how we live our day. And it's like the tent of God is in you. Come on. Wake up. Let's go. All right. I won't re-preach that part. So David is recounting what God said. Okay, you said this. You talked about me. You talked about my family. You talked about this house. Isn't that a part of Thanksgiving? It's recounting the things over and over. It's like Terry's blessing books that I've told you about. It's these things written down, just scribbled quickly about, God, thank you for doing this, and thank you for doing this, and thank you for doing this. And we have days when we go grab that and we go, oh, yeah. I mean, there's something about recounting. Count your many blessings, name them one by one. I mean, it's like, it's important to do that, to look back and count. But it's also as important, if not more important, to look ahead going, God, thank you. Thank you for what you have for me. Thank you that you are already there preparing the way. Isn't that awesome? Now listen, you don't want to look there, because most of the time when we try to see what's ahead, when we do that, we don't see God there. And that's frightening. So, I mean, just thank Him that He's already there. Don't try to figure it out, okay? Remember when God called Abraham? His name was Abram then. God called him and said, okay, here's where we're going to go. And Abraham, where is that? Well, I'll tell you when it's time. You know, that's kind of the thing. If we knew what was ahead, some of us would scare us out of our minds. But so don't try to look down the road, but just begin to thank Him. God, thank you for what's ahead for me. Thank you for what's ahead for my family. Thank you for what's ahead for Annie and Abby and their children and their children and their children. God, thank you that you have purposes and plans from the foundation of the world in your heart, and you pitched your tent inside of them. Wow. Okay. And watch a couple of more things. And I love this. So, and you have spoken about the future of the house of your servant. Listen to this. Is this your usual way of dealing with man? He's talking to God, he's recounting, and he goes, is this your usual way of dealing with man? It is. That's the usual way that God deals with man. The problem is we have lived abnormal and unusual for so long that we see things like that and we scratch our head going, wow, man, I wish God would do that in my life. He wants to. He's pitched His tent in you. This is the usual way for man. If your life does not look like this, then you're not doing God's usual way for man. My life ought to look like this. It ought to be supernatural. The way I live ought to reflect the Jesus and the Father that are in every single page of this book. But we live so abnormally that when we see the normal Christian life, like Watchman Nee wrote about, we freak out. Whoa, man, something's wrong with them. No, something's wrong with me if I don't live like this. You thought I was going to say you, didn't you? I caught myself. I'm playing. No. That is how. This is usual. This is the norm. The Holman Christian Standard version translates it this way. And this is a revelation for mankind. Wow. Listen, my life is a revelation for mankind. And it is being revealed through me to a world that they are getting their picture of God looking at me. And this is a revelation for mankind. Let me ask you a really hard question. What kind of God is being revealed in you? Is this God being revealed through your life? Does the world look at you and go, that is the God I want? Or are they going, you know what? Nah, no thanks. Pfft, are you kidding? Why would I want that? I mean, that's a sobering question we all have to ask ourselves. And this is a revelation for mankind. Why would I want the God that has no power? You don't have any power over that. I live better than that. I mean, I've heard that. You've heard that. So I'm going to sound like the Baptist preacher for a minute. Okay? Just that hellfire and brimstone Jesse Jones granddaddy Baptist preacher. I mean, he could curl the paint off the wall. He was huge. He was a monstrous man. Worked hard all of his life with his hands. He was shredded. Even when he died, those breaks and stuff. This brilliant guy, he could walk in a room like this empty shell, this massive metal buildings, and look at it, never take out anything, and in his head, he got it all in his head and would go back to his shop and build this whole guts of a cotton gin, all of the things in there, and all. It was just phenomenal. But when he preached, boy, he would thunder. And he would thunder on this one. What kind of God are people seeing in your life? My life is to be a revelation to the world of the incredible, astonishing, mind-boggling ways and purposes and love and grace and mercy and generosity of God. Of this God. Okay. He is saying, God is awesome. Look at all He's done for me and what He's going to do. There's so much more He's going to do. That is to be the revelation of my life. I don't mean this at you particularly. Okay, I just jotted these in a hurry. What is your revelation of God? Are you revealing a God that's mad all the time? A God that's not enough? I mean, some of us, the way we talk about our finances, our revelation is God's not enough. This God is. Is it a revelation of small God? Okay. Verse 20. And what more can David say to you? Notice how he says I one time. He says, who am I, O sovereign Lord? And then from then on, he either calls himself, he sounds like, who's that athlete that talks in third person? I'll forget anyway, it doesn't matter. T.O. Oh, no, I don't know who it is. It's like he's talking in third person. He either says David or your servant. He just loses himself. Anyway, all right. What? Yeah, Ocho Cinco. Yeah. What more can David say to you? For you know your servant, O sovereign Lord. For the sake of your word and according to your will, you have done this great thing and made it known. Okay, so he says, What more can I say? He's speechless. He's recounted this thing. He can't find the words. See, the more full the heart, the more it is conscious of the weakness of all words. The deepest praise, like the truest love, speaks best in silence. So he's overwhelmed, he's in awe, he's stunned, and he sits there silent. I want that discipline in my worship, in my own time with Him, my thanksgiving. See, we ramble and we rant and we blah, 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 blah. It's this, for me, a lot of times in my life, I just, I say the same prayer again, this cliche, this and I just got to go, God, I want to see you high and lifted up like Isaiah. And where I say, like in Isaiah chapter 6, woe is me, I am undone because you're here. Okay. Then verse 21. For the sake of your word and according to your will, you have done this great thing and made it known to your servant. He is meditating on the truth that God is His own motive. God is love. God loves because He is love. He's not, it doesn't take something outside of Him to motivate Him to do that. That's who He is. Does that make sense? That's what David's saying here. Okay, then verse 22. How great you are, O sovereign Lord. There is none like you, and there is no God but you, as we have heard with our own ears. See, I found this really early. I saw that verse and I go, I know a verse really similar to that. And it just bugged me. And I kept looking and I finally remembered where it was. It's in Job chapter 42. Remember, this is like starting in chapter 38. Job had been talking with God, and remember, starting in 38, God goes, where were you when the foundations of the earth, remember he goes, have you seen the storehouses of snow? Did you put this in place? I mean, God just goes for like 3 or 4 chapters going, have you done this? Oh, really, big shot? How about this? I mean, he gets after him. It's fascinating reading. Job 38 through 42, whatever, read that. And then in verse 42, Job's going, like that. And then he says in verse 4 and 5, you said, listen. He's saying to God, okay, God, you said, listen now, and I will speak and question you, and you shall answer me. My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you. That's kind of what David is saying here. There is no God but you, as we have heard with our own ears. Listen. Hearsay has got to become reality. Oh, I've heard about that. Yeah, the pastor spoke on that. Somebody told me that. It's like we have lived on leftover stuff. We've lived on this second-hand thing. Listen, it's your responsibility. You can't live on here. Yeah, I heard that. But like Job, I've heard that. Oh, now I see. It's just like I have to take ownership. Okay, my mom was a godly woman. She loved God with all of her heart. She was a worshiper. My dad was a deacon. My granddad, my great-grandfather. But you know what? Up until Terry and I've told you this, I won't do it again, but we were newlyweds. Hadn't been married very long. We lived at Route 1, Box 18 in Clyde, Texas, on a little Highway 18 in this little stucco house, tiny little house. And we lived there, and one day we go, God, we want all of you for us. Until that day, my life had been hearsay. It had been on what somebody else told me, what somebody didn't tell me. I blamed everybody else for my spiritual condition or whatever. I did this because somebody told me. It was all hearsay. But that night, we got on our knees as young newlyweds, and we knelt down beside our queen-size bed with this rust comforter on it, and we were holding hands, and we go, God, we don't know what this means. But all I know is I want all of you. And for the rest of my life, for for the rest of my life, the rest of our married life, and however many, I never dreamed we would have 9, God, for the rest of my life, I will go after you with all I am, and I want to make it mine and not someone else's. Listen, would you make this yours? Yeah, Bobby said. Doesn't matter what Bobby says. It matters what God says to you in your tent. Does that make sense? Hearsay is going to kill you. Hearsay is dead. Until I walk this out myself, until I dig this out myself, I'm telling you, I don't, Terry she doesn't get on to me. We talk, she goes, man, don't bring the family up so much. I can't help it. That's my life. But it's like some of the happiest days of, it's the happiest days of my life were watching my children come to Christ. But ranked right up there is when my kids, my adult children, above Garrison, I'm playing. When my adult children, when I watch them go, yeah, thank you, Dad, thank you, Mom, and now I got it. I'm going at it. And to watch my kids, my adult kids, go after God with all their heart and fall in love, and just they drip Jesus on their own. They don't drip mine, they drip their own. Right? And I watch Abby like David. She sits down by the curtain with her coffee. She's got to have her coffee. And her, she's got all these books everywhere. And she's just, she's ravenous at this thing going, I want to know this God with all she's got. Like, go, God, thank you. Let me wrap up. And who is like your people Israel, the one nation on earth that God went out to redeem? Here's the point. I'll cut to the chase here. But thanksgiving, the next element of being thankful is when when I recognize it's really not about me. David begins to go, you did this for Israel. I'm thankful for what God's done in me, but that's like a Dead Sea. But when I can take what God's done for me and give it to you, that's a new element of being thankful. When it's like, it's not about me. It's about what God's doing in me so that I can lay my life down so that you can enjoy it too. That makes sense? That's a quick way to say that. And so he's shrinking from selfishness here, okay? And the rest of the chapter reveals David he's trying to get his mind around, oh Lord, I don't know what you're talking about. You've made this promise. I don't know. I don't have the foggiest. See, David couldn't see Jesus. God had said, out of your seed, I will bless the generations forever. And David goes, forever? How can that be? Man is more, he couldn't get the whole forever thing. He just knew there was something. There was something that he couldn't get his mind around. He couldn't quite understand. But he's trying to, and he's going, do it. You promise this? Here's all I know to say, God, please do as you promised. What a great prayer. I don't get it all, just please do what you promised you were going to do. And I'm humbled and stunned that it would be through me. Please be clear, okay? Here is what I'm not saying. We don't earn. That's another one of those. I'm trying to unlearn that. What does Smith call that? Those of you that have been reading The Good and Beautiful God. Anyway, doesn't matter. We don't earn God being good to us. I'm not saying that, okay? Please do not think that with this statement. And I know I don't deserve or earn, or I don't rack up brownie points. But God pours Himself where He's wanted. God pours Himself into receptacles that are ready and that desire. That's what I'm saying. I don't earn it. I don't earn it by, I got up and read my Bible 6 days this week. I checked off all my boxes on my envelope to put in the offering plate. No. But when I come when I go, God, I don't understand all I'm saying. I don't get it all. But I just want you to know I want you. That's it. I want to live like this chapter, like 2 Samuel 7. And so, God, I make myself available. I open my life. Would you pitch your tent inside of me and walk with me and live your life in me? God, would you do that in me? And I will love you from this day on with all of my heart. I'm asking you to do that. There's 2 or 3 little decisions, not little, but different. That's the word. See, there may be someone here that you've never really come to the place where you've gone, okay, I've heard all this, but today I see, I need Jesus. I see that He died, and when He died, the curtain was rent in two, and now I have access to God, and I need Jesus to come into my life, to pitch His tent in me for the very first time, to forgive me of my sin, to cleanse me of my unrighteousness, for Him to live His life inside of me. If that's you, I want to talk to you. I can't wait to talk to you. And in a minute, we're going to have a time, what we call an invitation. It's a time for people to respond. And if your heart is beating out of your chest and you're going, I got to have that. I can't wait. I'll meet you halfway down the aisle to talk to you about that. So that Jesus, that today, what's today's date? 20th. So that November the 20th, I told you it was a hard week. I think I worked all this week from October 20th. No, I'm playing. But November the 20th, that Jesus pitched His tent inside of me. Wow. But maybe, and the majority of the people in this room already walk with Him. But you know what I pray? This sounds like I'm upset. I'm not. I pray that you're under such conviction today. I pray all of us are, that we would hear the Word of God and we wouldn't be so callous to go, nah, I'm good. I'm good. Really? I'm not. I want more. It's like, God, I want all of you. I'm pressing in more than I ever have. Because why? Because generations depend on it. And that's not a fear thing or a scare tactic. It's just, for me, this is me. Generations, this depends on me pressing into Jesus. It isn't about me being the dad of the year with my little, it's about, God, I want to be all married and to pray and to press in so that I am a representative of a God that she goes, okay, yeah, that's the God I want, and I'm going to take it to the next level. The third person is, if you're looking for a place to call home as a church, what a neat place this is. This is the most loving. I mean, there are a few of us that got some work to do, but for the most part, I'm teasing. Wonk wonk. For the most part, it is. I mean, remember Murph and Laura were here, and Murph after church goes, man, I remember now why I loved that place so much, because people are so loving. What a testimony. If you're looking for a place to be loved and have a chance to serve and to walk with God together, maybe this is the place for you, and we could talk about that. If it's not, I want you to find where God wants you. I really do. I'm not a number counter, you need to be where God wants you to be. And I pray that this is it. Well, we're going to have an invitation, and we're going to stand up in a minute, and Gay's going to play.